Welcome back to Loot, Lore, and Lights, where stories aren't just told, they're stolen, stitched, and sold with flair. Today, we're cracking open the gilded pages of the Lies of Locke Lamora, a tale of con artists, crooked nobles, and a city that bleeds secrets. If you like your fantasy slick with schemes, soaked in style, and spiked with betrayal, you're in the right place. We're going to go into spoilers here, just a heads up, as we deep dive into the charm, chaos, and cleverness of Cammor's most infamous thief. So grab your mask, sharpen your wit, and let's slip into the shadows. The game is on. Hello and welcome everyone. This is Loot, Lore, and Lights. I'm your host. My name is Adam, and I have a special guest with me today.
And I consider myself a gentleman bastard named Gerald.
Welcome back, Gerald. Yes, so Gerald has just told you what we're going to be talking about today is book one from the Gentleman Bastard series, The Lies of Locke Lamora. Gerald, what year did this come out?
I believe it came out in 2006.
2006, so we are going back nearly 20 years, but it is worth going back because it holds up. Tonight, the first thing I think I really want to dive into, and it's because this really just the series, but like we're just going to talk about book one tonight, but it has a nice little colorful roster of characters. Gerald, who would you say your favorite was?
It depends on every time I listen to the book or if I'm reading the book. Right now, I'm still saying Father Chains.
Father Chains. You know, I would have said probably that is mine as well. Tell me why.
Oh, well, I mean, he's just, I love the foundation he laid out. It's in the name. He's like a father to the rest of the gentleman bastards, which he kind of adopts as his family members and his for the Crooked Warden. I want to say the Crooked Warden of the 13th of their
The
deity.
nameless 13th,
The name is
Crooked
13th.
Warden.
Yeah, yes. He gives them more structure, teach them how to actually hone their skills, how to actually more depend on each other, one another, than just being a lone thief in the great city of Kamor.
Yeah, I don't think I could have put that really any better talking about Father Chains. My favorite part too is how he's introduced, being this blind guy like chained to the steps, and yeah. And then you find out he's not. He's really just a con man, which most of these guys are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, since you took Father Chains, I could say, you know, obviously the lead character, Locke, is really good. He is not your traditional hero. He definitely plays more of the anti-hero role. But I guess I will throw out the twins. Probably Kahlo and Galdo.
Galdo, Sansa. The Sansa twins.
Yes, they were. I love their back and forth banter, and they really brought a good comedic piece to this story.
Yes, yeah. The story is not. I won't say it's too serious of a story for people that haven't read the book yet. It's a interesting adventure roguelike, but not your typical roguelike either. I would say not like everybody has their own sets of rules and talents they come with. This one is you think they are at the top, and then you quickly find out no, there's other things that could plague them. So
Definitely, and just Locke in general. You know, he's master thief. He's the smooth talker, the walking disaster. He's got more schemes than a bard does ballads, and honestly, what he does is he ends up creating more enemies than a tax collector. You know, it's kind of crazy how it comes together as this like lovable character that you're just not quite sure that he's got it quite figured out, but he pulls it all together kind of in the end anyway. No, I shouldn't say in the end.
I'm gonna steal a line off of one of them for you. It's the thief maker. He steals too much.
He does. Yeah. That's really the big thing is he's always got that kind of edge of, but we could do a little more.
Mm-hmm. That thing is never satisfied for Locke. It's what it seems the story is telling us. But anyway, I took over again. You was telling us about the Sansa twins some more.
No, yeah. I was actually gonna dive because they really are like I said, they're like the comedic relief kind of piece, but they're also very good and serious at what they do. But one thing I was gonna dip onto while we're on the topic of characters was there any characters that I would say either disappointed you or any that you just really didn't like? You wished there could have been. I don't know. I don't want to say like just bad characters because there are a lot of really good characters. And I do think there are a couple bad characters, but not just saying bad. But are there any that you thought was a little weaker than what you would have wished? Or, if you can say bad, that's fine too, but it's just some of them are written to be bad, and that's why they're that way.
Well, no, after the author wrote them, the bad people are actually the most, well, not like I said, the most intriguing ones, but they are some of the great insights I saw. If I had to choose something that I wish could be written, but no, can't say the maybe one of the uh shoot Harvey's kids, one of the sons.
You think the Suns?
One of the sons or both the sons. The daughter was magnificent written. The brothers didn't have too much of a play. 5 pages at most, if that was the case. We'll talk about them, so they're like a backdrop character.
To
I don't
me,
read.
it was Nazca, and here's why.
You
It's not that Nazca.
Nazca?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. Hear me out. So I'll explain it. It's not that she was a bad character at all. There are a lot of different, obviously, stages here, and it almost sets it up where it's the nobles versus the thieves, or the ones who are the low class versus high class. But inside of even the lower class people who, like you said, they have their own shining things that have them, with more insight. But Nazca's character to me, and this is just the first book itself, because I do think it's improved as the series goes on, is there's not a really good, strong female character inside of this book. And so as men, I think that we gravitate to this book, and they're characters we can relate to, and we think it's really good. I think maybe it would do better with a female audience if there were, and it's really Nazca was the one I really hoped to be that way, to be a stronger female character, to hopefully be what, if you push on and you run into Sabbatha later in the series, I guess what that character kind of was, to be a stronger lead and create that kind of binding point for your female readers, as opposed to just, as guys who have a plethora of characters within this series that we can say are really good and relatable.
I have this case. She came out. I mean, her introduction was very memorable about her. I think the reason you say that, I think because she didn't have that much screen time, or not screen time. But
Right. I mean, that is part of it.
yeah,
That really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
It doesn't.
It could
It
have
doesn't
been one.
flesh
It
out
could
her
have been a whole
character.
big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't flesh out her character enough.
Okay. Yeah. I see. Well,
And
just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really give you a strong female character to latch onto. And I'm speaking as this from if you were wanting that viewpoint. It
Well,
is a
what
lot
about
of dominant male characters.
yeah? What about Felice? The one that was giving Locke the lovely massage. You're like, well, who is Felice? I might not be saying her name right. From the
Yeah,
Gilded Lilies.
from the Gilded Lilies. Jeez,
She had
yeah.
me. She had me sold. She had me sold.
I'm sure she did. She is right up your alley. But just didn't come across, I guess, as a powerful lead type female character.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, traditionally you would have, both sides. And like I said, he does correct that, I think, later in the series. But as far as just the Lies of Locke Lamora, it was very male heavy. And that's fine if that's what you want. I was just saying that I do think that Nazca's character could have been more strongly written to be that pull in for potential more female readers.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, this maybe.
Because the
I ain't gonna
spider
say
wasn't
maybe,
doing it
yeah.
for me. The spider
What?
wasn't doing it for me. And it
That's
was
because
nice.
she was an old lady.
It didn't stop Locke from punching her in the mouth.
Hey, that's because Locke is a gentleman that plays by his own rules. Well, actually, in the club. Well, I'm gonna say his club. The gang is known as the Gentleman Bastard. So,
He believes in equal opportunity for all.
actually, when you stick me with a damn needle in my neck, I'm trying to do what's custom to that.
Now, obviously, If we're staying on the topic of characters, we have to talk about Jean Tannen.
Is it John Tannen or is it Jean Tannen?
Jean Tannen. And I love that part of I don't have to beat you. I just have to hold you until Jean gets here.
Oh, go on, let me go. There he is, mother.
And I love the way that they bring that back closer to the end too, and it plays into that, you know?
Oh.
And I would say if there's one character that I didn't like, and it's because you're not supposed to, it would be the Grey King.
The Grey King. Yeah, I can see that. I'm gonna say maybe the Falconer, but the Falconer, he was like a more aristocrat than
And
the
I
Grey
think
King.
that's
I would say.
fair, yeah, too.
I mean, yeah. You hate all of those, the bad guys are there because what they end up doing in the story. But did they play their roles well enough for you? Absolutely, yeah. I can sympathize with the Grey King more than the Falconer, though. The Falconer is just like this rich, snobby, like I said, aristocrat person with powers. He's like, oh, you're beneath me. And then found out what happens when you push the wrong buttons on a certain people.
So I do want to, I guess, move on from characters now, and let's talk about the setting. Let's talk about the city of Cammor. It is obviously almost like a Venetian kind of inspired city from the way that it's talked about. And I really liked the way that they incorporated the flotillas, the ships, and how they do the game with I can't remember what they're called, like the little sharks, and how they're supposed to wait until the last moment to move or whatever. Basically like their gladiatorial version of games.
Yeah.
Interesting concept.
Don't drive me nuts now.
I thought that the very small amount that it leads into with how they settle on what I guess you could call a magic system, and using things like alchemical glass and the different architecture for that city. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is, like, in my head when I'm trying to picture how they're going through there, a lot of these things, especially when I'm reading fantasy books, I'm kind of thinking to like any movies or video games that I've played and wandered through something similar. And are there any that you could think of off the top of your head that are kind of in that same vein?
If I had to say, there are maybe two. Thief was a really good one. It has a little bit of a darker role play, roguish style play, introduce a little bit of magic. But if I had to go for what the Falconer does as a bonds mage, it would probably be For Honor. That's how I can picture it in my head. Both games are kind of like in what do you say, 1850s vibe of like a Venice or Italy starting out. I think it's mostly like those two games. I actually enjoyed the magic in the Gentleman Bastards, or the Lies of Locke Lamora. How they made their own type of wizard instead of just like, oh, I have a wand, or I have to carry this what do you call this? I was gonna say a codral, but it's not a codral. Book of tomes. That's what I was looking for. A book of, a magic book or anything like that. Yeah.
So as far as like, I understand that, I guess, coming from what you're seeing is how this would play out, but just the city itself of Cammor, like, is there anything that you've played where you could pinpoint something? Like, I was really trying to think in my head for, whether it's like, to me, I guess the closest I could come up with thinking was almost like maybe something in Vanguard, which I'm going way back on that and probably dating myself for
yeah,
what was an MMO, but it had diplomacy type systems and things like that where you have different things, and the cities themselves are traded out, I guess, by where they're located, because here we only see Cammor in this book. It's not gonna expand out till later for other areas, and so we just have Cammor. And I don't know, maybe there's an Assassin's Creed.
I'm gonna say Assassin's Creed, maybe two.
Yeah, that's what I'm
maybe
thinking
two. I'm thinking the second Assassin's Creed.
Is Ezio?
Yeah, Ezio. Yeah. Not as clean as the city, but Yeah, I can see that. But I want to say, like, for honor, it's basically you got the dark streets, you got your shady people that you're dealing with in that game too. So
And what was it that they called it, where they had the agreement between the thieves and the nobility?
it was the secret piece.
The secret piece.
Yes, the secret piece.
But what are your thoughts on that? Like, did you think that was an interesting concept, the way he built that into the world?
Yeah, it was really interesting because it flowed together, but you can do like every system that is made, right? There's not a perfect system to to be had. Especially we haven't found it out yet anyway. There's flaws in it. For example, the main thing in the story about the secret piece is why the Great King is coming or is here. It's because of the secret piece and how it was formed. The nobles can know about it. That if you're like a rich, you find like all the poor people kind of gets like a little robbed into, and they all have to pay homage to another baron, which is the underworld baron, which is Basodi. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting concept. Do I see it? Do I see the flaws in it? Yes.
So with when I'm looking at it, it almost helps blend into the city to make Cammor feel like a character within itself, because it does highlight, different areas of not just like caste systems, but it's also builds the religion into it as well. And like you said, like there are supposedly only 12 deities, but the thieves, they worship the nameless 13th, the crooked warden. The way that they use these different religions within this world and within the city, kind of detailing out how people look and how they act, I really thought it helped tie everything together. And then when you talk about the secret piece on top of that, where you've got the overall, I don't want to say good guy versus bad guy, but it really is like low class versus high class. But then within the low class, you've got your high class as well. So it's just a bunch of different caste systems interwoven within each. And I really loved how it created that vibe. And we can roll on to the next thing that I've got down, which is the game itself. What the Gentlemen Bastards do. They're fiercely loyal to one another. Use a variety of like hand signals to communicate. They use random words that they shout out to signal things in case you can't find your way. They do a lot of very just like tight knit, I want to say like inside joke type stuff too. And it really makes you, I guess, fall in love with the whole cast that are the Gentlemen Bastards. What, I guess, from that standpoint, tell me about how you, I guess, felt towards the Gentlemen Bastards group itself. Like, was there any particular person that you more gravitated to in there? Is there an overlying factor that you were like, man, I just really liked that part of being within Father Chains' crew?
Okay, I will have to say if I had to, I grabbed a character I really gravitated to, which would be the two, which ones you already said would be the twins that I see myself kindred spirits a little bit. How they always like to cut up a joke about stuff. I just don't have a twin who I can beat up on each other and we complete each other's sentences and we get it all kind of mischief and mayhem if you want to go about it. I thought it was this Scott Lynch is the author, I believe. Am I correct? I'm saying his name
You are,
right?
yes.
Okay. He done a immaculate job of setting this out. There's certain books that you authors try to play this out. I don't think they can fully grasp it. You're like, okay, yeah, that's I get what they're trying to work with. It works, but Lynch actually made it pull it all together. Like you felt like this was a family. Like they completed each other's, well, not really complete each other's sentences, but they really cared for each other more than just a gang would. They was actually family, is what I
have that. Yeah, no, I agree. I have that in my notes. Is actually found family, and found family to me, it tends to be, even in the real world, like thicker than you have your real family. You've got your group that you just know you can go to for anything.
Yeah. And then you see how like we have talked about Bug, which was the youngest, the apprentice of the gentleman bastards, and they was always teasing him like you would tease a younger brother, a younger sibling as well. So like I said, this was a really tight knit family, quote unquote, situation.
So I would like
I like to be John Tannen, but I know I can't do it.
so and that's what I was gonna say is I really pictured either you or Dave being like Jean Tannen, like ready to basically be the, I don't want to say like the bull, but just the more having the profound strength as like a leading quality.
Yeah. I can leave that to Dave. I'll leave that one to Dave.
And I kind of see that too, like just thinking about it. And for those of you who don't know, you will eventually get to meet Dave. We will be having a reunion type ghost hunting storytelling time episode coming in October. But I see that too with Dave because he's so like kind of soft spoken and quiet and can easily be confused, as being soft.
Yes, that's inappropriate, bitch.
So with this, we do. With this particular cast, are there any, I guess, like if you could, whenever I'm thinking about it, right, and I'm trying to relate it to something that could either be current cinema or some kind of video game, I almost picture it as similar to like the Money Heist, where, I don't know, like Locke would be the professor and...
I see where you're going with it, but I don't think they were. They're not close as in the book.
That's a good point.
I can see it play out. If they were as close as Legitimate Bastards, they would have got away with it. For the first few days of what they've had to play it on. I mean, they got away with it, but it was a little iffy. You know what I'm saying?
And most of them didn't make it through to see it.
Yeah, so.
Hey, look, that's similar.
That was no fault of anyone's on that.
Yeah, they didn't know
Lots
they were
planning. Yeah, that was
a mage.
Yeah. Well, they was playing a game into another bigger game that they didn't know. They didn't realize. I would say.
And I think that is a good segue into talking about like themes and tones when it comes to this book. I kind of like the way that Scott Lynch did his writing style with this particular book because it was layered upon what happens in the present time versus what has happened in the past. And it's almost like the way that he wrote it was he would tell you about what's going on right now, and then you would get just like a nibble of something that happened in the past that would give you an insight into that character's head, because you're not necessarily in one person's head. You're not living in there. You're having to kind of infer based on certain ways that they act or say. And so I really appreciated the way that he wove those past over present, I guess, together to make it make sense.
I can see that.
Yeah. And what is, I guess if you had to think about like the theme or the tone of the book or anything like that, like what's something that you would want to highlight or talk about?
I'll go with, I liked how, okay, so you know how some writers would, write, I'll explain it properly. No, we already talked about that too, because I was like, no, everybody doesn't get away. It's not like this is more of a realistic style I will go with. Well, I guess similar like Money Heist, so yeah, we just talked about that. Oh crap, I don't think I have that on that one there. They touched on that one.
So for me, like I guess just knowing like how your character traits are, like as Gerald's character traits, I really am surprised you didn't talk about revenge, just knowing yeah, and kind of how all that leads up with not just
Are you trying to say I'm Kamor for here? I have to have my vengeance.
I'm saying there are definitely some times where you're that way, where I've done this playing games with you and stuff too, where you will ram into a wall over and over just to spite it because you're like, it's not gonna get the last laugh. I may die 50 times, but I will get my way. Thinking about the way that the Grey King really used Locke and just played him like a fiddle at his own game, and how Locke just really had to get one over on him. He had to get the last laugh. He had to get the win, And I kind of thought that might be something that you would have related to within the theme of the story.
I'll use lots of line. Ray King, so accommodating. The jaw. No, I will say yes. The plot of revenge is runs deep in this book. I could, with Adam saying that, I guess I could be more Kamor than the rest of our grouping. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I don't wait till the second one. I'm just sort of like, okay, no, I'm gonna get you back, and then I'll be like, oh nope, I did that, and you can shame me if you want to, but you know what you did. It caused me to come after you on this issue. So yeah, I did enjoy how Scott Litz did put the point of how revenge can be sought out. I love how Locke, after going through the things he did, got back his revenge. Kind of like how Adam said earlier, it went back to a play when he was just a teenager and used the same kind of tactic to finally fully get his revenge on the Grey King. I think I could do that. But who's going to patch me up?
Well, Gerald, I guess I will ask this one last thing before we get ready to wrap up. Is there anything else that you can think of that we need to mention, or you think we pretty much covered it all?
I believe you might have already mentioned everything else about getting a full moment. Well, let me tell you what happened in chapter 38. Kamor, no, cross the line, my ass. I would laugh if that's off of chapter 38.
I would too. So yeah, I think we are good to go ahead and wrap up here then. So be on the lookout. As you notice, episodes are going to be dropping again. As we move into October, there will be a heavy dose of spooky things, whether it is talking about spooky movies, spooky shows, or even scary games. Silent Hill F does come out at the end of September. There will probably be some live streams posted as well as we cover that, and then possibly a review at the end. For today, we have talked about The Lies of Locke Lamora, and it is really a book that steals your attention and conjure expectations. It's not your average fantasy tale. There's not really any chosen ones. There's no ancient prophecies. It's just a gang of glorified street rats with charm and sarcasm and talent for robbing the rich blind. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope we were able to pull off the biggest heist of all, which was making you have interest in this book if you haven't read it already. The one about liars, thieves, and, well, let's just say one very unlucky noble. Grab your cloak, sharpen your wit, and let's pull off the perfect literary heist. This was Loot, Lore, and Lights. Again, my name was Adam.
And my name's Gerald.
And today, we were stealing the spotlight from Cammor's most infamous liar. The signal is weak, but the stories are strong. Take care.